Olá, pessoal. Aqui quem fala é Josué Brazil. Sejam todos muito bem-vindos a essa primeira edição do Warm-Up do Festup 2022. É um prazer enorme fazer essa abertura em nome da APP Vale do Paraíba, Associação dos Profissionais de Propaganda do Vale do Paraíba. Por dois motivos especiais. Um, que a gente está falando de Festup e eu tenho uma longa e deliciosa relação com esse evento produzido pela APP Brasil. Dois, porque a APP Vale do Paraíba tem a oportunidade de fazer parte da programação do Esquenta do Festup e, com uma atração internacional, certo? Então sejam todos muito bem-vindos. É um prazer para a APP Vale do Paraíba e para a APP Brasil fazer esse primeiro warm-up do Festup. Essa atração internacional, que depois vai ser apresentada na sequência, foi trazida até nós por um dos nossos, por uma das empresas, por um dos profissionais aqui da nossa região, a quem eu agradeço já antecipadamente bastante. A Marianna Bretz, teve a oportunidade, entrou em contato conosco e a diretoria abraçou essa ideia. Olá, Mariana, tudo bem? Então, já de cara, muito obrigado pela sua participação, pela sua colaboração aqui com a APP Vale do Paraíba. E daqui para frente, gente, os trabalhos seguem aí com a Mariana. Hoje à noite é dela e da Carlijn, depois ela vai apresentar melhor. E vou reforçar aqui que é uma honra, uma felicidade enorme estar podendo fazer parte disso, agradecer de coração à nossa convidada por ter disponibilizado o seu tempo, e trazer os seus conhecimentos, que são importantes, são extremamente relevantes para todo o nosso mercado. Um abraço muito especial à APP Brasil, a todos os diretores, à presidência, no nome do Silvio Solidade, e a todos os profissionais de propaganda que estiverem tendo a oportunidade de acompanhar esse conteúdo, e também aqueles que um dia pretendem ser profissionais de propaganda, os estudantes de propaganda e de comunicação, e aqueles curiosos que gostam de propaganda e vão poder acompanhar um conteúdo muito bom, muito interessante. Um abraço para o Lupe, que está aqui comandando os nossos bastidores, o nosso estúdio. E Mariana, muito obrigado, e agora é com você.
Olá, pessoal. Eu que agradeço aqui em nome da OKRE, nossa empresa especializada aqui em conteúdo. Tem sido uma experiência muito interessante conhecer todo o trabalho da APP, já de longa data, e Josué aqui à frente da APP Vale. Eu agradeço muito essa participação e essa oportunidade de falar um pouco mais desse tema, que para a gente é uma inspiração dessa mulher que é incrível, Carlijn Postma, poder estar aqui falando um pouquinho. Ela vive e respira marketing de conteúdo, então ela é uma referência para todos nós como profissionais. E eu entendo que hoje vai ser um dia bem bacana para instigar, para inspirar, para a gente abrir a mente, para trazer novas metodologias, novos processos e novas estratégias para a gente que trabalha com marketing, propaganda, publicidade, conteúdo e tudo mais. Então, eu queria apresentar um pouquinho sobre ela, que está aqui. Ela tem um trabalho que ela mesma vai poder falar sobre isso, é autora, palestrante, desenvolveu essa metodologia de Binge Marketing. Eu tenho uma honra de poder estar aqui ao lado dela, Carlijn Postma. Welcome, Carlijn. It's very good to see you here, and I hope that we have a great day inspiring and talking about content marketing, good strategies, and how can we be more sustainable in marketing. Please.
Yeah, great.
Be welcome.
Thank you very much. I love the sound of your language, but I have to admit I couldn't understand anything. Well, some words maybe. I love the sound of your language, but well, I don't know if you've mentioned that already, but we've met in Cleveland like 1.5, 2 years ago. You were present at my presentation, and I think we've been discussing content marketing for like 1.5 years, and I love the fact that what I see in, for example, in Europe, but also on an international basis, that we could share our experiences, so we could really learn from each other. And well, I love those chats with you, and I think this is a great opportunity to get to know Brazil even better, and maybe inspire people to use a little bit of my methodology, binge marketing. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Well, she's telling Carlijn, we are speaking about this Cleveland. I'm going to explain a little bit for who doesn't know. Nós nos conhecemos no Content Marketing World, é isso que ela está comentando, em Cleveland, em 2019. Foi quando eu tive o primeiro contato com essa metodologia de Binge Marketing que a gente utiliza aqui e que a gente entende que houve uma troca. Ela falou um pouco sobre isso, a gente começou a trocar sobre o que é feito na Europa, o que é feito fora do Brasil, e ela ficou curiosa sobre o que é feito aqui. Então, disso surgiu a ideia desse encontro aqui de hoje. Então, vamos começar. I'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit. How did Binge Marketing was born and how did we get here?
Yeah, well, how was Binge Marketing born? Binge Marketing was born, well, in front of the television, I guess. I have to explain that a bit more. But yeah, I will explain it in my presentation for a little bit further. But I am a content marketing strategist. I'm from the Netherlands. I was awarded with the title of Content Marketing Strategist, or actually Content Marketing Woman of the Year in 2017. And I guess I just love the fact that we can share ideas and we can engage with people through content. And I think that's the main thing that, well, why I'm in this business actually. And binge marketing is, I can explain a little bit about that already. Binge marketing is of course born from binging a television series. And binging is like, well, if you explain it according to a definition of binging a television show, then it's about well, consuming 3 episodes or more in one sit. And that's what made me think and realize that in content marketing, we as content marketers will want to do the same thing. We want people to binge our content. So we have to be great in creating content. So that's what made me start looking at Hollywood and Netflix and what do the creators of these series do to have people addicted to their content, to the series. And maybe it's not exactly the same. I know everybody would think that, but you can learn so many things. That's exactly what I have discovered in the last 5 years when I was working on this.
Okay, let's stop with the spoilers because you're going to make a great presentation for us. I'd like just to remember, pessoal, quem quiser, comentários aqui, por favor, mandem suas perguntas. A Carlijn terá o maior prazer em responder e a gente dá um suporte aqui quem precisar de tradução, ok? Vamos lá, Carlijn, please, let's start your presentation and welcome again.
Yeah, thank you. Let's start the presentation. Well, you are used to sun, but we don't have a lot of sun, but I'm right in the middle of a sunny day today. So I'm sorry if my face reflects once in a while. But then again, you can also look at the presentation from now on. So, well, just a little bit about me. As I already said, I am an entrepreneur, I'm an author, and also a content marketing strategist in the Netherlands, from the Netherlands. But I'm working more internationally at this moment because there are so many things that are the same in Europe, in US, but also in Brazil. That's what I've noticed. So again, it's an honor to be speaking to you from my office in Zwolle. So yeah, let's just get through the methodology. Just start with a little bit of well, where it all started, and I think this is one of the sentences. Maybe, well, I don't pronounce it like this. I'm not going to to try even, but I know that you recognize this sentence. So just one more. You must recognize it from sitting on the couch and, well, looking at your Netflix partner or maybe your HBO partner or Disney Plus partner, which is well, I think it's a global streaming service that made us realize that we can be addicted to series. So this was what happened to me as well. Every evening when I was watching a series, and well, the example is with my kids. I was watching Once Upon a Time with my kids. They were, I think, 9 and 11 or 12 years old, and every evening then we decided let's watch one episode, and after the episode you're off to bed. But every evening we end up in a discussion because they didn't want to go to bed. And that's what made me realize the fact that these creators of films and series, that they know how to attract and retain an audience. And this is exactly what, well, that was my eureka moment that I thought, well, if I cannot get these children to stop binging, stop watching, and we as adults have the same issue, then there must be something we can learn from these creators. So that's when I started my my search for the things that we could learn from creators of films and series in Hollywood and at Netflix. But if you do recognize this, there is one solution. If you have a presentation the next morning, or you have really important things to do at the next morning, and you find yourself binging and it will be getting late and later and later, just remember, take 8 minutes of the next episode, because that's the point where everybody can sleep, everybody can get peace of mind, and also with my children. So there was peace in the house after we after we entered this rule, the 8-minute rule we call it. After this episode plus 8 minutes of the next, you're off to bed. And this is interesting because if we realize that people cannot get rest, cannot get peace of mind before a story is finished, then we should be aware of the fact that as a marketer or communications advisor or creator, we tend to finish all our stories. If we create an article, we start, we do the introduction, a little bit of the middle, and then we conclude. And then, well, peace of mind with the audience. So why would they stick around? Why would they ask for more? And this is something that we can learn from these creators. Don't ever finish your story. And that's the basis actually of binge marketing. I have to warn you for some spoilers. There can be some slides in my presentation that might be like maybe the end of a series. So it's an unwritten rule that I have to warn you if I spoil things. So, well, I did that. So what are we talking about? What is binge marketing? I've described it in my book because, well, it needed a definition. It doesn't exist, binge marketing, because it's two words that collide together. But binge marketing is a sustainable marketing strategy that allows you to build a long-term relationship with your audience through the use of serial content based on the shared interests of your audience and your brand. And this earns you the trust and lays the foundation of where you can achieve your marketing goals. So this is actually what we're doing. And there are 3 things that I would like to explain a little bit more, because that's part of why binge marketing can be an interesting thing for everyone creating content or marketers or in public relations. First of all, it is all about audience development. Without an audience, you don't exist. If you create content and you're doing it week after week, but you are not focusing on building an audience, then, well, you've done all the work for nothing, because an audience decides if your content is relevant. And that's really important to realize that it's about audience development, and that there is a difference between an audience and a target group. Because a target group is decided from the sender side, so from the company. If I want you to be my target group, if I decide you're my target group, I can just, well, get paid advertising and I can share my my content with you. But what I actually want is for you to become my audience. And an audience decides for itself if it wants to be my audience, or if it's not interested in being my audience. And just one slide to really understand what I'm saying here. I know what it says, but it's in Portuguese, so I don't know what it says in Portuguese. But I am an audience to I'm a target group to many, but I'm an audience to only a few. And because I decide from which brands I am an audience. And I think this is a mindset. I think this is something you have to remember when you're creating content. Always focus on creating this audience instead of targeting on your target group alone. Well, this is one thing you have to remember. But the second is always create content in series. Because if you want to build an audience, then you won't be able to do that with only one episode. With only one episode, you're not building an audience. So always create a series. As I said at the start of this, never finish your story. Always make sure your story can be divided into multiple episodes. And once you're doing that, as you can see here, this is an example, of course, of Once Upon a Time. And it has seasons and episodes. But if you use the techniques that they use at Netflix and HBO Max and Disney, then divide your story into episodes. But also, if you end one episode, make sure you have the cliffhanger to the next episode, so people cannot get rest. Or if you start an episode, always refer to the recap. What happened before in our series that you need to know before you can watch this episode. And that's really important. And that is also something that can help create this audience, because your audience understands there is more to it. It's not only this article or only this video or only this part of a campaign. This is a story that is based upon seasons and episodes relevant to your audiences as well. And Marianna already told you it's about sustainability in marketing. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. For example, these seasons, season 1 until season 7, has, I think, 23 episodes per season. But this is content that is still relevant at all times. So I think with binge marketing, we should start, we should stop creating single-use disposable content, as I call it, and start creating evergreens. Evergreens that are relevant not only at the timing of the campaign, but also within, for example, 2 years or 3 years. And around those seasons and episodes, there you can create your campaign. You can put your social updates and your ads around the episodes. Just have a look at how Netflix does it. If there is a new series, then they have a campaign, but the series is not over when the campaign is done. The series is relevant for a couple of years, maybe decades. Have a look at Friends. It's still relevant, although it's 30 years ago almost. So that's what I'm talking about if I'm talking about evergreen content. And you can better start now than wait until next year. Because if you start now, you're already focusing on creating these evergreens. And the last thing you have to know and learn about binge marketing is always be relevant to your audience. So base it on the shared interests of your audience and your brand. What is it we can talk about with our audience? What is the logical thing that you can expect from us as a brand and an audience actually expects from you? And that is what we have to decide, and you can create episodes on that. And if you really want to start, then you have to be able to think of your content as if it were the scenario of a great television series, because that's the only way to get focus. If you just have a look at the back flap of a DVD or the summary on IMDb, for example, that is a summary of what the content of that series is about, and we need that from brands too. What we do, what we always get is like the mission and the vision, maybe the why, how, and the what. But it's always from a brand's perspective, and this is about what can the audience expect from the content of the brand, and that is exactly how you focus on your audience. So we call it the plot summary. So you start with the plot summary of your brand, and after a lot of strategic choices and focusing on the audience journey, then you can decide what seasons and what episodes. So before you start, or if you want to go to your, maybe the director or the manager or whoever is responsible for content, always ask what is your job to be done? What do we need to accomplish after publishing these series? And this is I always get a lot of things. I need a larger brand awareness. I need more sales. I want more leads. I want, it's a list of a lot of things, but one of those things has got the highest priority. Has to be. If you want to be thought leader, then you'll have another series. Then if you want to become, if you need more brand awareness, for example, your series will look different. So what is your job to be done? That's the first question in every workshop that I will give. What is the job to be done? What do we have to accomplish in the next couple of years when we're working on this series? And then if we've done that, then we can work on our plot summary. What is the story about? And this is really brand storytelling from the purpose of the brand, close to the DNA, the heart of the brand. And there are 4 ingredients. This is something you can already think about. Well, actually, from now on, because if you start with creating this plot summary, you have to think about who are my main characters. Who are the ones that are telling this story? If you want to become thought leader, then it can be a logical thing that your employees will be the main characters, or maybe influencers with a special expertise. But if you need a more loyal audience, for example, then maybe you should have your clients in as a main character. The second thing is the arena. And I used to call it the decor, and it's also what I described in my book. The decor is like the place where it's where the series plays. The arena is more 3-dimensional, because it's also about place, but it's also about circumstances and time. Does it play in the future, in the past? Is it in a hospital during COVID? Is it in a hospital in 1920, for example? It gives you an idea of where the story will play. So it's a good thing to think about that as well. And then 3 to 5 themes. What can we expect in the series? And these themes can be, for example, if you're a car brand, it can be innovation, design, and safety. It's close to the brand. If you find yourself writing down like 10 or 15 themes, then you're probably writing down topics for your episodes, not brand themes. So this is a higher level of categories, actually. And these can change as well. Not all of them at the same time, but if you have one season with a couple of themes, then you can switch a theme for the next season. So this is also something you can learn from the creators of films and series. They can evolve a story. And the last thing is the genre. What genre do we see? Is it documentary? Is it humor? Is it human interest? You would expect that everything I'm saying is only about video, but you can apply all of these things also in text. If you have a series of articles, you can apply the same things from your plot summary. And always think about, if you're creating this 3rd episode, is it still does it still fit the DVD? Does it still fit the plot summary? Is it still a part of the story we're trying to explain? I'm going to try to get a little less sunshine. Maybe this is better. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so this was the last thing from, if you want to create the plot summary. And if you have done all of those things, so you have your main characters, maybe some guest appearances, you can add them too. The arena, the themes, and the genre, then you can write your plot summary. And the plot summary is like a 1 or 2 paragraphs of, in this series we'll meet, for example, that's the way to start this. And if you have done that, then that's your Bible. That's what you can share to all the agencies you work with all the writers you work with. Because every episode, every piece of content should be a part of this series, the same series. So people should recognize what you're doing, what you're about. So if you have this plot summary, then you can start scheduling, planning your seasons maybe, but also your episodes. And how to decide what your episodes are about. Well, that's part 2 actually of binge marketing, and we use the audience journey for it. I will not dive that deep into it right now, but if you want to learn more, then well, there are some opportunities to have a look at this audience journey afterwards. I thought this was an interesting thing. I think it was last year, because why are we so focused on content these days? And this is I think this was one of my eye openers, that I thought, okay, this is really serious business everywhere. Amazon bought MGM for $8.45 billion. And why do they do that? Because it's a retailer, you know. But why do they do that? It's very, very interesting to have a database of content, which they bought from MGM, because that's where the audience is. That's where the audience comes from. And the next big trend that people are telling that will come is Hollywood meets tech, and it's already happening in China, for example. But for example, for Amazon, it would be very interesting if you're watching Suits. The Suits is the series with lawyers, and Jessica is always wearing very nice dresses. What if I could just pause my series and see where I can buy that dress? And it would be it's a database of the next e-commerce level, and that's what they're aiming at. And not only Amazon, these are, well, there are many more that will try to figure out how to get the audiences through the content. So if you want to become part of where the audience is, or well, the next session actually of sorry, where to be interesting in content, then you have to create your series. You have to have content, and it's not only in video. It's everywhere. Content is king, because we are going to use these ad blockers. We are going to avoid the cookies. You cannot just reach target groups. You have to build on your audience. So you have to build on stories, and that's what we're trying to do here. Just one example, I think Bytes with double I, bytes.com, it has great branded content, great brand stories. And this is one from the Danish ferry. I don't know if you know where everything lies. It's in Europe, it's Scandinavia, but there's a lot of water and they have ferries. But this is a series that in 7 episodes or 6 episodes, the restaurant at a ferry tried to get a Michelin star. And it's a documentary where they asked a chef to figure out how to get this star, Michelin star for the restaurant. And it's really it's very good branded entertainment, and I think this would really fit on Netflix as well. Just have a look at it, how they do it, because they also have the recap at the start of an episode, but also the cliffhanger at the end. Well, I've added this picture because I always get people and marketers that say, well, that's great, all those storytelling and series, and I like to create a series, but I have so many products. Do I have to create a series for every product? Well, I don't think that's necessary, because have a look at what Marvel does. For example, Marvel has all these characters. They have Thor, they have Captain America, they have Iron Man, the Hulk, and they are all brands at itself. They have their own movies, they have their own audiences, but in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, they all work together. We recognize the Marvel Cinematic Universe from every movie, and even from the series that they spin off from it. So just have the creativity to have a look at the things like they do in Hollywood, because this is very smart. If you have the audience for one brand and you can cross direct them to another, then why create a new series? Why not have the same arena for all of them. Audience will understand. Well, the Doctor, I don't know if Doctor Who is familiar in Brazil, but it's a very old series, and I always add this slide because I think it's interesting because of all the resistance that I understand that can live in people's heads, because we have so many topics to talk about. Can we still do that from one series? Well, the Doctor can. Doctor Who it's sci-fi. It's the same characters. Everything is very clear ever since the 60s. But what they do very good every year is create a special around Christmas. Same characters, same arena, same themes, but just a small story with a start and an end. And that's what they do every Christmas. So if you have something special to share, you can do the same thing. A mini story, mini series, for example. And now we're working towards the last part, because if you want to start with your binge marketing strategy, you also have to know who's responsible for it, who's going to do it. Well, these are my heroes in content marketing, actually. And I don't think you know who these people are. But maybe now you'll get an idea. And I think they're about to restart season 4. This is the end slide of season 3. So, well, yeah, spoiler, but I warned you. They're all alive here. But this is Stranger Things. But these people, these two, are not in the series, but they are the showrunners of the series. And what is interesting about being a showrunner, they create the story. They lead the team of writers. They produce the series, but they're also responsible for how many viewers they have. If they have no audience, they will not have a next season. So have a look at what these showrunners do and learn from them, and point out someone in your own organization, or if you're a freelancer, do it yourself. Be the showrunner and focus on the story, on the episodes, and on the numbers. And that's how you start. I think this is the basic of what you can do with binge marketing just by having a look at Netflix, at Hollywood. It's a great opportunity now to be in this business, because you get to watch so many series, and it's like going to school. You can learn so much from them. The next part of this is about, okay, now we know what the story is about, but what does the audience want? When can I be relevant for them? But that is a part, and I always end with a cliffhanger here. And another part for another time and another story, I guess. So thank you for the opportunity to bring this to you, Marianna. And thank you also for OKRE Lab to help me to get this in Portuguese to Brazil.
Well, thank you for this great presentation. I really believe this was inspiring. Josué, how was it? Gostou?
Muito bom. Me fez pensar em várias coisas que a gente vai entendendo ao longo do tempo, quando a gente estuda conteúdo, né? O quanto essa estratégia ela está, como é que a gente pode dizer, calcada em fundamentos, né, do que a gente estuda sobre conteúdo, e ao mesmo tempo traz contribuições muito interessantes, muito boas, né? Porque a gente sabe o quanto é difícil desenvolver conteúdo em sequência, num planejamento de médio e longo prazo para as marcas, né? E esse conceito, né, de trazer a coisa das séries, e também a importância, e você podia até, se for o caso, levar isso para ela, perguntar isso para ela, porque assim, há muito tempo a propaganda sente a necessidade de se aproximar do entretenimento, né? E a proposta do Binge Marketing que ela traz é muito calcada na indústria do entretenimento, né? E como ela vê a importância para a produção, né, dessa estratégia de conteúdo dos roteiristas, né? Se você pudesse passar a pergunta para ela, por favor.
He's talking about he's really delightful about the presentation, and asking himself how big is the importance of screenwriters in advertising and marketing through this scenario? How do you see this?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, I think we underestimate the power of the people working in film at this moment, because I honestly believe that screenwriters can can lay the foundation for brands on their storytelling, and there is so much they can learn from it. I think in marketing and in advertising, of course, we were used to creating campaigns, and well, actually, what we've learned is to get attention from an audience at moments and at media that they are actually doing other things. So we always break into their space, and what we want to do right now, and that's where screenwriters and the creators in film, but also in radio, it's the same thing, can help us learn how to do it in another way, how to not break into their space, but how to become relevant and interesting for them to just join us, to watch our content. And well, I've put a couple of examples in it, but Bytes has this database of great content created by brands, and you wouldn't even know that it's created by brands because it's such quality film. And well, it doesn't matter if it's from a brand because it's the story. It's a documentary that they create. It's brilliant, and I think the best content marketers are at this moment in film and series.
And great. And Carlijn, it seems like we talk about inbound marketing and we have that recipe for the success, for attraction, but sometimes it seems that we as marketing and advertising and content professionals are mainly worried about the funnel, this journey, where, and maybe not that worry about the story that we need to tell, because that's the main attraction that you brought to us. So I'd like to talk to you about this. Do we need to change the effort and look to the core of our communication more than the funnel?
Well, I think the funnel is relevant too, of course, because people still don't know how to find the relevant content of a brand. So we need to get them in the funnel at some point. But we did put a lot of effort in creating the funnel, and of course we've learned from it. But I think every case I have done as well in the past years as a content marketer, I think in every case the technique is not the problem. It's the story. If you have created this funnel, then the next question is always, okay, but now where's the content? What can we do through this funnel? And I think we should start the other way around. Create the story, and then also, if you have this story, maybe it's not the usual funnel that you would expect, but you can sorry maybe you can better work together with some kind of medium or a streaming service for a joint venture or something like that, because I think the funnel is a technical thing that you should, it's, I don't know, in Latin they call it the conditio sine qua non. It's like it should be there, but the story is our main focus, I guess. Should be.
Yes, sure. And you talked about the single used, and we see a lot of rich and very important campaigns in Brazil that have a great impact, but maybe in next year they don't talk about that anymore and they create another campaign. So I really do believe that Binge Marketing bring this idea, how can we be sustainable, right? And I'd like you to talk about this, bringing us some examples of how can it be done, not just in video, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's exactly as you said. We were educated as marketers to create attention, to have content for a small period, because that's when we have the eyeballs, we have the budget, and we schedule everything around it. But I think I should advise every brand to just have a look at the past 4 or 5 years. What pieces of content can we still use from then? And is it really, because I'm curious, I think a lot of brands have created campaigns, and campaigns are not reusable. Not a lot of them. If you have stories, good brand stories, or other relevant things for your audiences, then maybe you can reuse it. You can re-edit it. You can a series of articles, for example, done with clients or with experts. You can reuse them, and maybe you can have a little new intro or an add-on with 5 years later, for example. So don't throw it all away when the campaign is over. Just have a look at it. How can we use it? How can we do more with it? Is it possible to create content that can live 2 to 3 years? I think that should be a focus we can start with. And if you have, because I'm aware of the fact that people need to sell as much as they can in Q1, for example. So yeah, we need campaigns. But are we creating campaigns with the content itself, or are we creating stories and create campaigns around the episodes? And I think that's a more sustainable way to do it.
Can we say that binge marketing brings storytelling to another level, to the whole strategy that we must do? Can we say that?
I honestly hope so. And I think it's mandatory to have a look at this industry. I think brandstorytelling.tv, and it's a platform from the US, and they are already creating something like this. They are trying to create the bridge between filmmakers and marketers, but they are focusing on film alone. Still, a lot of things we can learn from that, and also about distribution, about creating this story, about the differences between marketers and creators in film, because, well, it's another DNA. So it will need some work, I think, to collaborate. But I think these are good examples of where we start to merge these two areas, and if we can get it towards the content marketing and maybe even brand marketing, create sustainable content with stories that can last throughout many years, I think we could be much better. And I really hope that your suggestion can work out. Yeah.
Great. Alguma pergunta, Josué, que você quer fazer, acrescentar?
Eu como meu inglês, eu consigo entender boa parte, mas assim, não sei se ela falou disso, mas uma curiosidade que eu tenho é se nos estudos dela, nas pesquisas, né, no levantamento que ela fez, inclusive para poder escrever o livro, se ela vê ali, essa estratégia do binge marketing muito apoiada, por exemplo, na adesão que os públicos millennials e Z, né, tem ao formato de séries, ao formato continuado, né? E como eles consomem e gostam de consumir entretenimento nesses formatos. Não sei se ela chegou a abordar esse tema, mas é uma curiosidade que eu tenho, porque eu acho que para as marcas também, né, millennials já estão aí como principal público consumidor, e em breve teremos geração Z. Então, se o fato dessas gerações estarem mais acostumadas com esse formato, também é um ponto positivo para a adoção dessa estratégia, dessa metodologia.
He's asking if you believe that millennials and the Z generation, they are more used to this edited serial content. So do you believe this is a benefit for brands to adopt this because of this habit of this generation?
Well, I don't know if it's specifically for this generation, because I think what I suggest is, of course, create long-form content, serial content, and get people to want more from it. And I think millennials and also Gen Z is on multiple platforms, and I think they are used to have a lot of content at the same time, more than maybe my generation. I'm 40 plus, a little bit more, but you know, it's I think it's the fact storytelling is something that has been around always. So that's not new. And I think if we know how to tell this story in the right way and put it out there on the right channels, then everybody, I'm so sorry, it's this, you must think we have more sun here than you have. We never have sun, as I said. But
I think you're in Brazil, right?
yeah, it looks like it. But no, but I believe that it's about story, and I don't think it's really about anything else. People are used to stories. If you have a look at how stories are created and told throughout the years, it's all based on the same thing. I don't know if you've heard of you probably have, but Joseph Campbell, and he discovered that every story in religious stories, fairy tales, every kind of story can be based upon the same story structure. And I think people are conditioned to look at stories like that. So I think it's not really about a trend in binging or something, or a trend in it's just the possibility of binging with stories. Story is the basic thing, and it's not about the device that it goes through. It's only it helped because there are a lot of it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I had something with my earphone, but I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, I think we have a very important topic that you brought to us, which is the audience's own control. They already can choose if they want to block the ad, and we have the cookie crisis. So this is no way back. We need to review all of our strategies, because we need to go faster and building audience, unless we don't want to die, right? So I'd like to bring this urgency with you. How do you see the future of audience on control, and talk about what if everything is blocked? How is it going to be?
Yeah, great for audiences, I guess. But we are in control already. It's a little bit difficult for to block everything already. But I have faith in that future, because I believe that brands have to really think about their story and why do they exist, and what is the purpose of their existence in basic, in general, but also in content. Because as a brand, you only exist by the perception of your audience. If the audience doesn't is not aware of you, then you just stop to exist. So if you can't get your content, if you can't get your stories through anymore, you have to decide, how can I get that audience? So you have to think about the story, and that's also maybe to redirect to your question, because the funnel is still important there. You have to have this.
We still need
this
ads,
funnel.
right? We still need ads. We cannot.
You still need ads, and I think they should be contextual, so not following me around, because I can block that in almost everything, but the contextual ads, I can live with those, because if I'm at some page about traveling in the US, for example, then it can be relevant for something else. But I am in charge. I want to decide if I can be that audience. And if you have convinced me to be your audience, then you have to find a way to have me subscribe to your content. Not only to your brand, because people don't buy stuff from you only. It's if you have, I always say, because I've got discussions with sales managers, for example, that they need sales. So once they have contact with an audience, then they push the sales. But we first have to learn how to gain the trust of the audience. So an audience that trusts you is more likely to buy once, twice, multiple times from your brand, instead of an audience that is pushed towards or the lowest price, or the first time you come around.
Yeah, I think the main point here is about the sustainable, that you said we need to have more conscience about all the money that we put in digital marketing, all the channels that we put effort in, Because maybe sometimes we are focused on, oh, we need to be in all the channels all the time. We need to put all this money, but we are not thinking about the core of the thing, which is what are you going to tell? What are you going to say?
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So being sustainable is not just being evergreen, but being conscious about the money you have to spend and all the effort that your team have to produce some quality content, right?
Exactly, and that's a very good point, because you probably spend less in 3 years if you start creating the evergreen content and be conscious about how you do it. If you start it now, instead of running from campaign to campaign, and well, with everything that's going on in the world, you will know that people have less to spend in a couple of well, they already have less to spend, and there are a lot of things going on. But so I think we have to be aware of what to do with your budget, and don't look at Q1 alone. Look at the next 3 years and go for the sustainable approach of the market and your audience.
And how is your relation with social networks? Do you believe that we should put all our efforts in this, or maybe go into the content market strategy? This is not a good deal. How do you see this?
Is your question if you should go to socials or content strategy, or
should we create all the content inside the social networks?
How do
you see that?
Yeah, exactly. No, I believe that you have to create content for your own channels, or at least be the owner of your content. And once you put it on, for example, the Instagram stories, of course, it's your content, you put it there, but it's still on that platform. And I want people to be able to go also to my platform. I need to be the owner of the content. And I think that's something we should also work on in content marketing, because we share, well, we create a lot of content and we spend so much money on the socials to get it to, well, at our audiences. And I think it would be better and easier if you have your audience for yourself. It's the first party approach. If you have them, then you have to nurture them. And I think that's the first step. So be aware of what you're doing. And I'm aware that if you use socials, you also need paid media budget for it, because otherwise you won't be able to do anything. But if you focus on great stories, great articles, you can maybe work into a magazine or a book, something people want, or a great podcast to listen to and have subscribers to that podcast. And the same thing goes for great videos or webinars or whatever. So try to focus where you have access and are the owner of the content.
Yeah, and gain more control about what's happening, right?
Exactly. Yes. So true.
Oh, great. Josué, alguma pergunta? Acho que as minhas acabaram. Ih, não tô te ouvindo, tá no mudo.
Perdão, gente. Não, Mariana, olha, eu acho que foi super esclarecedor. Estou super contente, assim, e para lá de satisfeito com o conteúdo. Eu acho que todos nós aqui aprendemos bastante. Você sabe, eu tenho um gosto muito particular por essa área de conteúdo. Procuro estudar na medida do possível, né? E eu acho que esse é um conteúdo que acrescenta muito, né, para todos nós, dentro dessa nova realidade de marketing digital, né? Eu acho que extremamente expressivo, né? É isso, eu estou muito satisfeito, gostei bastante, acho as exposições da Carlijn super didáticas, muito fáceis de se entender, e eu acho que quem acompanhou o conteúdo até aqui, aprendeu bastante, assim como eu. Gostaria já de, né, agradecê-la, né, pelo tempo, né, pela disponibilidade, por contribuir conosco aqui, né? E também você, Mariana, por todo o esforço, né, por fazer esse contato, essa ligação, né, e trazer esse conteúdo tão especial para todos aqui da APP Vale do Paraíba e APP Brasil, ok?
Muito obrigada. Thank you for this opportunity, Carlijn. I'd like to say thank you, Josué just said. It's very good. It was a very good presentation. It really brought us a lot of inspiration and a real methodology to work on. And I would like to tell you that this was very important to the Brazilian market and to make this exchange of ideas. And it's a very pleasure for all of us to be here. Thank you. Obrigada, APP Brasil, pela oportunidade, pela troca. And I would like to say that we have a discount that Carlijn is going to put available for who is watching us live. So we are going to put it on the screen or in the description, the code for you to use, because she has a course of Binge Marketing, so you can be an expert in this methodology already launched in Brazil. And well, let's keep in touch. Carlijn, thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Muito obrigado mais uma vez a todos. Obrigado, Carlijn. Obrigado, Mariana. De novo, repetir o que eu disse no início. Um grande prazer, uma grande honra estar fazendo esse primeiro warm-up do Festup, né? Vindo de uma das regionais da APP. Como diz o Silvio Soledade, nosso presidente, somos todos, né? Somos uma APP Brasil, somos uma APP nacional. Essa questão dessa capilarização da APP, estarmos todos juntos, todas as regionais, a APP Brasil, trabalhando em prol, né, do desenvolvimento do profissional de propaganda, do mercado publicitário, né? Deixo aqui mais uma vez meu agradecimento, espero que todos tenham aproveitado e tomara que a gente tenha a oportunidade de estarmos juntos mais uma vez aí ao longo deste ano. Um grande abraço a todos, muito obrigado pela audiência e por terem acompanhado o nosso conteúdo.